Blood and dust, the ancient arena on Helios 9 had stood for 10,000 years. Its sandstone walls had witnessed the rise and fall of civilizations, weathered stellar storms, and absorbed the blood of countless warriors. Today, it would determine the fate of two species. Commander Marcus Reeves stood at the eastern entrance, the morning sunlight glinting off his olive-drab power armor. His combat visor, with its faint blue glow, analyzed the arena before him, calculating distances, mapping terrain, identifying potential cover. The Marine's hand rested on his MX-7 pulse rifle, fingers tapping an unconscious rhythm against the trigger guard. "The Crimson Dominion values ritual above all else," Dr. Eliza Chen's voice came through his comm. "Remember what I told you about their combat traditions?" Reeves grunted an acknowledgement. Chen had spent the last 72 hours briefing him on everything xenobiology and intelligence had gathered about the aliens who had slaughtered the Proxima colony 3 months ago. 3,000 civilians dead in what the aliens claimed was a territorial misunderstanding. "I remember," he said, his voice gravel and steel. "No projectile weapons until blood is drawn. Combat begins at center circle, and their champion will be—" The words died in his throat as the western gate groaned open. Sunlight illuminated a figure that seemed to absorb and refract the light simultaneously. The alien stood nearly 7 feet tall, its body encased in what appeared to be living armor, ribbons of crimson material that rippled and flowed like liquid metal, occasionally pulsing with bioluminescent energy. Zarthok, last survivor of the 7th bloodline, champion of the Crimson Dominion. "Jesus," Reeves whispered. "He's magnificent." Chen's voice was tinged with professional admiration. "The exoskeletal armor is actually a symbiotic organism bonded to his nervous system. It can harden instantly to deflect impacts or reconfigure to enhance striking power." "Not helping, Doc." Reeves took a deep breath and stepped forward onto the red sand of the arena floor. Above them, in the crumbling observation platforms, hover drones captured every moment for the billions watching across both civilizations. This combat, this ancient ritual, would determine whether humanity's outer colonies would be recognized or whether full-scale interstellar war would erupt. No pressure. From across the arena, Zarthok observed the human warrior. The translator implanted beneath his primary heart converted his thoughts into the crude human tongue. Small, he thought. But his movement suggests experience. The scar on his face, earned in combat, not ritual. A true warrior, perhaps. The human's armor was primitive, rigid plates powered by mechanical systems rather than the living symphony that protected Zarthok. Yet there was elegance in its functionality, a brutal efficiency that the warrior philosopher in him appreciated. Zarthok gripped his Karesh, the segmented staff that had been passed down through his bloodline for 12 generations. The last time he had faced humans, they had not been warriors but scientists. They had captured him, studied him, cut into his living armor to see how it bonded with his flesh. He had escaped. They had not survived. But this human, this Commander Reeves, moved with the dignity of a true combatant. Perhaps there was honor to be found here after all. Both warriors began their approach to the center of the arena, where ancient glyphs were carved into the stone floor. Neither rushed. Each step was measured, calculated. Dust swirled around their feet, dancing in the shafts of light that pierced through the cracked columns surrounding them. In the orbital command station, vigilant, General William Hayes watched the feed with cold calculation. "Is the package in place?" he asked the technician beside him. "Yes, sir. If Commander Reeves falls, we can activate the subterranean charges. The entire arena will collapse, taking the alien leadership with it. Hayes nodded. The diplomatic solution is preferable, but I won't risk Earth's security on some barbaric alien ritual. Dr. Chen, who had been monitoring Reeves's vitals from a separate console, turned sharply. General, that would violate every agreement we've made. It would guarantee war. Better a war we start on our terms than one we're unprepared for, Hayes replied, not meeting her eyes. Pray that Reeves succeeds, Doctor, for all our sakes. The two warriors reached the center circle simultaneously. Up close, Reeves could see the alien's face, a leathery, ridged visage with 4 amber eyes arranged in a diamond pattern. The eyes blinked in different combinations, an expression Reeves couldn't interpret. I am Zarthok. The alien's voice was surprisingly melodic, though the translator gave it a metallic edge. Last of the 7th bloodline, blade of the Crimson Dawn. Protocol demanded Reeves respond in kind. Commander Marcus Reeves, United States Marine Corps, Exoplanetary Division, Earth. The alien tilted its head slightly. You have killed many. It wasn't a question, but Reeves answered anyway. Yes. As have I. Zarthok raised his staff horizontally, a traditional opening stance. Today, one of us kills again. Reeves set his rifle down carefully at the edge of the circle. It would remain there until first blood was drawn, as tradition demanded. He unsheathed the combat knife from his thigh plate. Let's find out who, he said. The ancient glyphs beneath their feet began to glow faintly, reacting to the presence of 2 warriors prepared for combat. Neither of them noticed. They were too busy trying to kill each other. The first exchange was blindingly fast. Zarthok's staff whirled in complex patterns, its segments occasionally separating and reconnecting to extend his reach unpredictably. Reeves's power armor enhanced his reflexes, allowing him to dodge most strikes, though one caught him across the shoulder, denting the plating. Reeves countered with a feint, followed by a lunge, his knife seeking gaps in the alien's living armor. The crimson ribbons rippled and thickened wherever his blade approached, forming an impenetrable barrier. They separated, circling each other, both reassessing. Your movements are efficient, Zarthok observed. No wasted energy. You're faster than I expected, Reeves replied, rolling his shoulder to test the damaged armor plate. The alien made a sound that might have been laughter. The scientists who captured me said similar words. Reeves frowned. What scientists? Instead of answering, Zarthok attacked again, this time using his superior reach to keep Reeves at a distance. The human commander was forced into a defensive pattern, giving ground strategically while looking for an opening. Reeves, Chen's voice came through his comm. His armor thins near the joints when he extends for a strike. There's a vulnerability there. Reeves grunted in acknowledgement, then deliberately left his right side exposed. When Zarthok committed to the strike, Reeves pivoted inside the alien's guard and drove his knife toward the junction where arm met torso. The blade found purchase, slicing through the momentarily thinned living armor. Blue-black fluid, alien blood, welled from the wound. First blood had been drawn. Both warriors immediately disengaged, stepping back to the edge of the center circle. By tradition, the combat now entered its second phase. Reeves retrieved his pulse rifle. Zarthok's staff began to glow with energy, its segments vibrating at frequencies that would allow it to penetrate Reeves's armor. You mentioned scientists, Reeves said, keeping his rifle trained on the alien. Human scientists. Zarthok's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. 3 of your solar cycles ago, a research vessel claimed to be on a diplomatic mission, They invited warriors to demonstrate our combat techniques. The alien's voice took on a harder edge. When I awoke, I was restrained. They were cutting into my symbiote, testing its responses to pain. Reeves felt a cold weight settle in his stomach. 3 years ago, the same time he'd been ordered to abandon a civilian outpost on Proxima to save his squad. The same outpost that had housed a classified research facility. "I didn't know," he said quietly. "Would it have mattered, Commander?" Sarthak asked. Before Reeves could answer, the alien lunged forward, staff crackling with energy. Reeves fired a 3-round burst, but the alien's armor absorbed the impacts, the energy dissipating across its surface in ripples of crimson light. The battle rejoined with greater intensity, each warrior now armed with weapons that could end the conflict in a single successful strike. In the observation platforms, representatives from both species watched in tense silence. Among the human delegation, Dr. Chen couldn't tear her eyes from the combat below, even as she quietly spoke into her comm. "General Hayes, I've been reviewing the data. The facility on Proxima that Zarthok escaped from, it wasn't authorized by the colonial administration, was it?" Hayes's voice came back clipped. "Focus on supporting Reeves, Doctor. Old mission parameters are classified." "They weren't just studying his armor," she continued, putting the pieces together. "They were weaponizing it. That's why the Crimson Dominion attacked Proxima. It wasn't a territorial dispute. It was retaliation." The general's silence was confirmation enough. "And now you're ready to blow up their entire leadership if Reeves fails," she whispered. "We're the aggressors here, not them." "Perspective is a luxury, Doctor," Hayes finally replied. "Victory is a necessity." Blood and dust. That's what the arena had been reduced to in Reeves's mind. His own blood dripped from a gash in his thigh where Zarthok's staff had penetrated his armor. The alien was bleeding from multiple wounds as well, the blue-black fluid causing the sand to clump beneath their feet. They had been fighting for nearly 30 minutes. Both were slowing. "Your people experimented on my kind," Zarthok said during a momentary pause, "then abandoned their own to cover their crimes." Reeves winced, not from pain, but from truth. "Not all of us knew. Not all of us would have allowed it. Yet you serve them still." "I serve the people who would be destroyed if this war escalates," Reeves countered, "just as you serve yours." For a moment, something like understanding passed between them. Then they clashed again, more desperately this time. Reeves's rifle had been damaged, forcing him back to his knife. Zarthok's living armor was responding more sluggishly, its energy depleted from sustained combat. As they fought, the glyphs beneath them glowed brighter, pulsing in rhythm with their movements. Neither warrior noticed the subtle vibrations building in the arena floor, or the way the ancient symbols began to rearrange themselves. Reeves saw an opening and took it, driving his knife deep into Zarthok's side. The alien roared in pain, but managed to swing his staff in a powerful arc that connected with Reeves's helmet, shattering his visor and sending him sprawling onto his back. Both warriors lay wounded, struggling to rise. The ritual demanded one kill the other. Tradition required it. Honor demanded it. Zarthok was the first to stand, using his staff for support. He limped toward Reeves, who had managed to get to one knee. "You fought well, Commander," the alien said, raising his staff for a killing blow. Reeves looked up, blood trickling from his temple. "So did you." But before either could act, the arena floor beneath them illuminated with blinding intensity. The ancient glyphs, now rearranged into new patterns, projected a holographic image above the center circle. a representation of a species neither human nor of the Crimson Dominion, a species long thought extinct. You have been measured, a voice spoke directly into their minds, bypassing language entirely. Both of you. In orbit, on both human and alien vessels, instruments went haywire. The subterranean charges Hayes had planted suddenly deactivated themselves. Communications across all frequencies became crystal clear, as if enhanced by an unseen hand. Everyone, human and alien alike, could now hear and see what was happening in the arena. "What is this?" Reeves managed to ask, struggling to his feet. "The architects," Zarthok whispered, recognizing the form from ancient texts. "The ones who built the arena. The ones who came before." The holographic figure nodded. This arena was not built for bloodshed, but for understanding. Each blow exchanged transfers knowledge. Each wound shared transmits truth. Reeves and Zarthok looked at each other, suddenly aware of the connection that had been building between them throughout the combat, the growing sense of the other's motivations, fears, and hopes. "You were not meant to kill each other," the entity continued. "You were meant to know each other, truly know. That is the purpose of the arena. That has always been its purpose." The glyphs beneath their feet rearranged again, forming a map of the galaxy with countless points of light representing civilizations, some familiar, many unknown. "You are not alone in this galaxy," the entity said. "And the path of war leads only to extinction. We learned this too late." With those words, the hologram faded, but the glyphs remained illuminated, casting both warriors in a soft, golden light. Zarthok lowered his staff. Reeves sheathed his knife. "Your scientists," the alien said quietly. "They did not represent all humans." "No," Reeves agreed. "Just as those who attacked Proxima didn't represent all of your people. What does your combat tradition demand now, Commander?" Reeves looked around at the ancient arena, understanding its true purpose for the first time. "That we find a better way." The peace that followed was fragile at first. General Hayes was court-martialed for his unauthorized weapons program and the planned sabotage of the ritual combat. The Crimson Dominion withdrew its fleet from human colonial borders. Diplomatic channels dormant for years reopened. Commander Reeves and Zarthok became the first official ambassadors between their species, their shared combat experience giving them unique insight into both cultures. The scars they carried from the arena became symbols not of conflict, but of understanding. Dr. Chen led the first joint scientific mission to study the arena and the technology of the architects, working alongside xenobiologists from the Crimson Dominion. And on Helios 9, the ancient arena stood as it had for 10,000 years, its true purpose finally fulfilled. Not as a coliseum of death, but as a forge of understanding, where enemies could become allies through the most intimate form of communication. Combat, blood and dust, knowledge and truth, the beginning of a new chapter for both civilizations among the stars. Stars, 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 stars,